Good Tuesday afternoon, guys. Jerry Miller, welcome to the I Love CVille Show. We are live in Charlottesville, the Commonwealth, the country and the world on the I Love CVille Network. 12 Facebook pages air this program at one time and all the fabulous shows on our network. Now over 13 hours a week of live programming that spotlights our community, our backyard, your backyard. So much content and so many storylines to highlight today on a majestic Tuesday, June 30th, a phenomenal day to be alive and be above the mud. We're an advertising agency at VMV Brands at I Love CVille. We have the most market share of anyone from an advertising agency and branding standpoint. Over 113 clients from our office, our satellite office in New Providence, New Jersey, but our headquarters is here in downtown Charlottesville. We're proud to call this place our home, and one of the reasons we've launched this network is to tell the stories of the entrepreneurs, of the small business folks, of the folks in our community that are making positive change. Agents of positive change is who we spotlight on this show. So, on that note, we're going to welcome Brad and Dan from the Wool Factory. These are the visionaries, part of the visionary team, the partners, the men who said, let's create this iconic point of commerce for people to enjoy in Charlottesville. Let's put a brewery there. Let's put a fabulous restaurant there. Let's turn an event space, a fabulous event space. Let's recruit some businesses like Wool and Mill, like the Willow Tree, the folks behind Willow Tree. Let's get great coffee over there. So they have done a phenomenal job of building a brand. And we're going to unpack that brand today on the I Love CVille Show as we give you a glimpse into something that I think you're going to very much enjoy here in Charlottesville and Central Virginia. We're going to welcome Alex Urpí, the president of Forward Adelante, as we shine a positive light on our Latin American community here in Charlottesville and Central Virginia. And Bob Schotta is going to join us from the launch pad of the 4th of July fireworks from Wendell Wood's house on the show. We're going to run headlines first. And the first headline, another glimmer of positivity. Judah, why don't we showcase what Governor Northam has done, what Hershey has done, and 110 new jobs coming to Augusta County. Hershey is investing $135 million, yes, Hershey chocolate, to create 110 new jobs in Augusta County. Guys, Hershey Chocolate of Virginia has operated in Augusta County for more than 3 decades. It already employs more than 1,000 people. They're increasing their job force by an additional 10% in Augusta County by investing $135 million. Smackaroos. I'm going to say it once. I've said it once. I've said it many times. And I'm going to say it again. As jobs like this are created on the outskirts in Augusta and Waynesboro, and as fiber internet and as Zoom technology and as innovation becomes more ubiquitous, we will see a push from dense urban living to more of a suburban living where people can have more backyard, more house because mom and dad are working from home now. Potentially an opportunity where their kids can virtually learn in a home. That may be the case for this coming school year. Some in-person, some virtual learning. You're seeing human and social behavior change, and you're seeing folks literally push from urban to suburban settings for a little bit more breathing room, for a little bit more home office space for mom and dad, a little more virtual learning space for son and daughter, and a backyard where you can enjoy a COVID quarantine more enjoyably than if you were in a tight confine that you find in an urban setting. When you start adding jobs like this in the Augustas and the Waynesboros of the world, and you already have housing prices that are some of the best in the area, I mean, $200,000, $250,000 in Waynesboro goes a really long way. $250,000 in Charlottesville is probably going to get you a 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom condo. Okay? $250,000 in Charlottesville is going to get you an attached piece of property, not detached. Waynesboro, you're going to have an acre, a backyard, and something nice. As the jobs go there, as technology improves, you will see a push to suburban setting. And I'm going to close on this. We're the city of UVA. And if the city of UVA makes a push at the University of Virginia for more virtual learning and less in-class learning, you will undoubtedly see jobs shift over the center. People come to Charlottesville to work for the University of Virginia. What happens when the University of Virginia becomes more of a virtual learning environment and de-emphasize the in-person experience? You know what the next step is? The jobs will slowly erode away because the virtual learning environment does not need as many people to service the institution as the in-person learning environment does. So watch this. It's a phenomenon that's undoubtedly happening. It's undoubtedly happening. Let's go to the next headline, guys. Next headline is more destruction, despair, and damage to traditional media. Virginia Public Media laid off 17 employees at its public television and radio stations in Virginia. So let me recap, and give me the thumbs up when that's on screen, Judah. Virginia Public Media lays off, look at the screen, 17 people. So you have the CVille Weekly. The CVille Weekly terminated a third of their staff. You have Virginia Public Media cutting 15% of its workforce. You have the Daily Progress furloughing and cutting their staff. You have Charlottesville Radio Group cutting the Big Greasy Breakfast, cutting Jeff Sweatman, and other in-house people, taking Rob Schilling from 2 hours to 1. You have Monticello Media making cuts, NBC 29 making cuts. Traditional media across the board is making cuts. The reason I bring this up to you is Virginia Public Media, much like the CVille Weekly, much like NBC 29, Daily Progress, these are institutions that hold local officials and other folks accountable. And when you see journalism and traditional media deteriorate, the only people that suffer is the community because we don't have that watchdog to keep people honest. I am really, really nervous for these folks. The future's not getting any better for traditional. Advertisers aren't flocking to print, radio, TV. They're flocking to social, digital, and what we're doing. Why? Because that's where the people are. That's where the people are. Now, here's a very interesting situation. I think everyone that watches this network, we're reaching over 250,000 people a year through the I Love CVille Network, and that's backed by Google Analytics. The folks that watch this network like the content because they can watch this show live on 12 Facebook pages like we're doing now, or on demand whenever they want in real time by looking at their phone or putting their earbuds in and listening to a podcast on iTunes and Apple Podcasts because we put the audio there, Spotify as well. So where I'm going with is the TV stations, the media companies, they have this to ask themselves. They should hire me. They should undoubtedly listen to what I'm saying here. They have this to ask themselves. We see that social is where the eyeballs are. But if we start doing news content like Jerry's doing on social media, we're then devaluing our TV product and then showing that anyone can make news. So they're stuck on this conundrum. Do we keep our content on a box in front of a sofa at 6 p.m., 10 p.m., and 11 p.m.? Or do we make it more approachable and accessible on this? It's the same crossroads the newspapers had when they gave their stories away for free on the internet. Once you started giving your news away for free on the internet, you know how difficult it was to go back and charge people? And now people expect the news to be free. So what they need to do is they need to leverage this in social and put more on there for them to survive. But unfortunately, that's not what's going to happen. That's not what's going to happen. 17 canned at Virginia Public Media. Ugh. Ugh. How about the story from the downtown mall on CBS 19 News, Judah? Let's go to Brasier Saison. This is Hunter Smith's brand. So Hunter Smith, Champion Hospitality Group, Champion Brewing Company. He has Brasier Saison on the Charlottesville downtown mall.
Brasserie.
Thank you, Brasier. Thank you. I can't say it. I can never say it. It's going to be reopening The patio's opening back up again. They got Stephen Kelly, who's coming to Charlottesville from New York City at 11 Madison Park. But here's the tucked away story that I want to highlight. Hunter Smith and Champion. They opened at the end of last year Champion Grill in Stonefield. Earlier this year, at the start of COVID-19, he partners with Craig Hartman for the Ice House concept in Gordonsville, fried chicken and beer in an old fabulous building with history. I mean, it's awesome. He forms a strategic partnership with Laura Fauner, the executive chef at Dooner's Restaurant, who was supposed to take over in an owner-finance deal as owner of Dooner's Restaurant, but once COVID hit, that didn't materialize. Now you have an executive chef that's one of the best in the business at Laura Fauner running a food truck called Dumpling, where she's selling her Charlottesville famous dumplings in food truck style. So where I'm going with, Hunter and his team, new restaurant in Stonefield at the end of last year, new restaurant in Gordonsville with Craig Hartman, Dumpling, this food truck, and next to the restaurant in the downtown mall, they're opening a new concept called, is it Superette? Superette Saison? I mean, I can't. Superette Saison? And it's going to be a place literally next to the restaurant in the old Verdigris spot, the old clothing store spot. It's going to be a spot where you can get sandwiches and beers and wine to go. So dude is literally opening another business right now. There's only a handful of people that are expanding their empires and their businesses and growing their businesses right now. Patty Zeller, one of our clients, the owner of Animal Connection, she's definitely doubling her square footage when she's going from McIntyre Plaza behind CVille Coffee to the Ix Art Park, where she's going to build an epicenter for everything dog. We are literally working alongside her as she's doing this grand opening. She's a fabulous businesswoman at Ix Art Park. She's growing. We've grown. Our business is up. Hunter's is gotta be. I mean, dude's got access to capital. He's got the balls and vision to make stuff happen in hospitality and in F&B. F&B is getting hammered right now. This dude is growing his brands right now. Props. Anybody who's got the risk to grow and take chances, obviously access to capital, no doubt about that. Having access to capital is a huge advantage. But props, do it now. I mean, I'm sure you're getting phenomenal deals on rent. You got a lot of negotiation potential. And if you can do it now and you can survive, a lot of your competitors aren't going to make it. So you're going to get more market share. It's a good story. Interesting story. Next headline I want to cover, Judah, comes from the Cavalier Daily. Yes, the student newspaper of the University of Virginia that I read while a student at Thomas Jefferson's University. Virginia football announces preseason training begins July 5th. And you got that on screen, J-Dubs? Look at the screen. Now, players have the option to return to grounds for voluntary activity, but mandatory training camp begins July 15th. So training camp for the orange and blue, 16 days away. How about that? The guys want to play. Of course they do. They're 18, 19, 20, they're 21. Of course they do. 18, 19, 20, 21, you're invincible. You saw what happened at Clemson. How do you do this? I got a question for you. How do you tackle somebody, block somebody, get out of a scrum while sweating, spitting, bleeding, anything else that's happening while you play football, and maintain your safety? How do you do that in COVID-19? How can a linebacker hit a running back, jump on his chest when finishing the tackle, and get up, drop sweat beads from his face somewhere on the body of the person, breathe, spit, blood? It's part of football. How do you do that safely in COVID-19? I can see how you can play golf. I can see how you can play tennis. I can see how you can play racquetball. Of all the sports, football and wrestling, are they not the most on top of you contact-wise? I mean, I love football. I wish nothing but the safety for these players, and I understand the impact that this football team has on Charlottesville. We all do. Did you know in Alabama, home football games at the University of Alabama, you know how much revenue they generate for Tuscaloosa and the surrounding areas in Alabama? In one weekend, one football game, one weekend. You know how much revenue, economic revenue it generates for Alabama? I read this yesterday. I think it was on CNBC. $25 million is the economic impact across one weekend for one football game at Alabama. $25 million. Now, I'm not going to say Charlottesville, Alabama, is at a different level than what we have here in Charlottesville from a fan base, from a success, and from people traveling and flooding. But Charlottesville, I can assure you, a weekend of football, especially with this team performing well, has got $10+ million of impact in this community. Follow it. July 15th, guys. July 15th, live on 12 Facebook pages. Two of our favorite clients that we work alongside are Interstate Pest and Service Companies and Scott Wagner Chiropractic and Sports Medicine. Interstate is a home's best friend, and since 1969, Interstate has served homeowners and folks in this community the right way and the honest way. And Dr. Wagner is changing people's lives through chiropractic care, sports medicine, and physical therapy. Judah, I'm going to reach out to the guys now. If you can get some photos from the Wool Factory page, we'd love to have them. I'm going to reach out to them. We're going to have Brad and Dan on the show. And we're going to introduce you into a spot that is super cool. I got Roger Voisinay, who watches this show, reach out to me and said, hey, I'm going here. Let's check it out. Let's talk to the vision and the people behind it. All right, guys, so we're going to go to you on screen. We have them online. We need you to turn on your camera so we can see your faces. You can tap the screen and click Activate Camera on there. Awesome. Okay, you guys look fantastic. Ooh, I like the brick background. The lighting is fantastic. You guys are looking jacked over there. Judah, are we ready to get these guys on the show? Okay, here we go. So you guys are going to be live for Charlottesville, the Commonwealth, the country, and the world. In fact, I'm getting the green light. I'm going to get out of your way. Introduce yourself to the viewing public. Who you guys? What are you all about?
Yeah. Great. We are Brad Ewell and Dan FitzHenry from the Wool Factory. We are part of the large crew that's been working on this project for the last 3 years now. Still working actively in the background. But yeah, so.
How about this? How about tell us, because I love the story, the idea for the project.
Yeah, we, like most people in Charlottesville, didn't know that this building existed before the first time we walked through. It was May 3 years ago. We're also involved in Grit Coffee here in town, and we were looking for a home to put our coffee roaster. And in that process, kind of stumbled into a conversation with Brian Roy, the developer of the project. At the time, he was looking for some commercial tenants, and we were looking for some commercial space to put a roaster. And we obviously have changed it a lot since then, and our roaster is happily located somewhere else in town. But yeah, that was the initial way that we found the project, and we just loved the building so much, knew that it was such a unique thing for Charlottesville, and really just wanted to be a part of the project. So we basically just hung on for the ride for the last couple of years, kind of waiting to see everything come together. And it was originally going to be a residential project that turned into a mixed-use project that turned into 100% commercial. So
the project is iconic. It's beautiful. You guys have spared no expense. It's one of the sexy spots, undoubtedly. I mean, how? Okay, let me ask. This is a tough question. You obviously did not want to open in a COVID-19 landscape, right? No one wants to run a business in this kind of setting. I'm cutting to the chase here. How did you guys have to adapt the plans because of what's happening outside?
Yeah, well, let's take a step back and let me tell you what the Wool Factory actually is. We are, as you said, it's beautiful. It's the architecture, the setting is absolutely gorgeous. We are a hospitality destination, right, featuring a brewery and tap room, a wine bar and coffee shop,
sure,
wine and bean shop as well, an ingredient-driven restaurant, and just amazing event spaces. The place can kind of be carved up into a bunch of different formats for many different sizes of events from 30 to 300. But we had the unfortunate experience, as you mentioned, of opening right in the middle of the COVID pandemic. But what that allowed us to do was to set our operations from the very beginning to be sensitive to spacing and sanitization and mask wearing and all that stuff. So we've developed all that from the start. We have so much space down here. Our tap room is 6,000 square feet. So all of our tables are more than 6 feet apart. We have plenty of walking space between them. No one has to be closer than 6 feet to another human when they're on this property. We have courtyard space as well, outdoor tables. So we take it very seriously. We have all of our staff are in masks. We have single-use menus that the guests kind of write their the number of each item they want. The server takes it back and puts that in remotely. We've kind of designed it to be as interaction free as possible while still being a hospitable, hospitality business, which is difficult.
Oh, sure. Awesome. And you guys crushed it. We have questions and comments coming in, folks that have gone to the soft openings, folks that are interested. You got some people ask on the show that basically said, I didn't even know this was happening. So that's one of the things that we're doing here is we're trying to tell folks that this is happening. Literally, I have a comment coming in, and this is from a lady that Laura says, Jerry, I love your show. I watch it all the time. I had no idea that this existed. We will check them out. Are they open now? Can we bring our family? Can I bring our kids? And I have 6 or 7 comments like this coming in. Why don't I get out of y'all's way on that?
Yeah, thanks. We are officially opening July 1st. So today is
tomorrow.
The 30th, so that's tomorrow.
Yeah. Nice.
Right now, so to answer one of your, a little bit more about the COVID question too, we had planned on opening April 1st and we were going to open the whole property. The restaurant was going to open. We had weddings and events booked April, May, and June that we've obviously been working to reschedule. But we kind of sat for the last couple months trying to figure out what the appropriate time to open and how to do that. And so right now we're opening just the brewery. So we'll be open starting tomorrow for the brewery with its full menu, reservation only. So the answer to the short-term question is you can find us on Resi and book a reservation. I believe we're already booked out for tomorrow, and Thursday and Friday are fairly full, but we're going to be here for the long haul, so plenty of opportunities for people to come down and see the place. And a lot of the reason why people don't know it existed was just because of how long the whole process took. There was so many things that had to happen between coordination with the county. It's a historic property, construction, et cetera, just kind of all had to fall right into place. And so the last thing we wanted to do was kind of get everybody ramped up for an opening that we weren't 100% on.
Sure.
And then we actually had the benefit of knowing about 30 days before April 1st because everything kind of started slowing down at the beginning of March, able to pump the brakes on that launch. But we felt like, as Dan said, we have a lot of really great outdoor space. We have a huge tap room. And in terms of some of the guidelines and restrictions around restaurant service, we felt like we could open responsibly and still keep people really safe. And so we felt like going into the July 1st sort of phase 3 opening in the state, we felt really comfortable with that and having people in the space starting tomorrow.
More questions coming in for these guys here. Go ahead. Yeah.
Jerry, I feel for your commenter. I live in Woolen Mills. This is my neighborhood. And it took us 2 years, my wife and I, 2 years to find this site in our own neighborhood. Like, it's just tucked back. It's down a hill. It's bounded by Morris Creek and the Ravenna River. It's a hidden gem back there.
This question's coming in. It's a really good one. Jerry, I live in Woolen Mills. We are so excited for this to open. It gives us something that we can walk to. Please ask your guests to talk about the history of this property. It's significant.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is called the Woolen Mills for a reason. It was an actual textile mill. It was several different iterations of mill before that, going back to the Thomas Jefferson's contemporaries. This section of the Ravenna River was actually referred to as Piraeus, which is it was named after the port of Athens. There's a lot of romance among the Charlottesvillians at the time. So a lot of commerce came through this site, and the actual Charlottesville Woolen Mills was incorporated in 1868. A lot of the buildings you'll see on site are actually from the 1920s and 1930s. The original buildings burnt down or were dismantled to make way for different buildings.
Yeah, and there's some really interesting history about sort of how everything transitioned from sort of the early to mid 1800s into the late 1800s and early 1900s. And a lot of the buildings that are here now were built in the early 1900s. More recent history, it was for a long time the home of a moving company here in town. So when we first walked through, there were huge crates of moving boxes stacked floor to ceiling. And I remember one of the first days where we got to walk through it empty, and it was a completely different experience. And so it had been sitting largely unused and vacant for the last 10 or 15 years, I believe, since the moving company sort of moved operations elsewhere and was no longer operating out of the space. So a lot of the Woolland Mills residents probably remember moving trucks coming down Market Street and getting stuck in there and all of that. But that hadn't been going on, mostly because this development was underway for so many years, even before now, because of all those kind of steps that had to come into place before they could even start construction.
I love it. I love it. More questions coming in, guys. I'm going to get to these questions. I have some of my own. I'm a beer guy. Tell me about the beer, man. I mean, I drink entirely too much beer. Beer is good for the soul.
Never.
I mean, right? Tell that to my wife. Tell that to my wife. Tell me about the beer.
Well, we have lots of options for your wife as well.
Okay.
So one of the things that we liked about the property and the project as we put it together was sort of that multifaceted option for beer, wine, coffee.
Yeah, you guys are so vertically integrated, man. I mean, I love the idea. I love the vision. Like, here's the thing: is like folks go to a brewery or a winery, they may not just want that. And they go to your spot, dude. I feel like someone can go to your spot and be happy across the board. It's brilliant.
Thank you. That was our hope. It was mostly selfishly driven because that's what we were looking for. So the beer specifically, it started out as conversations around what might be missing in the Charlottesville market. We have lots of great breweries in town. There's a bunch of breweries that even people from Charlottesville are driving to in Northern Virginia and Richmond, and they're offering some other things outside of what some of the other breweries are offering. We intentionally set it up as a brew pub sort of tap room model. So we're not planning to go after, wide scale distribution or anything like that. We have a really great system that is up and running, and our initial beers, we've actually been partnering with Champion, and they've done a lot of really helpful collaboration and consultation, and they'll continue to play that role for us. The model for what we're doing here, Hunter Smith of Champion had actually walked through this years ago and loved the spot. And we ended up kind of finding ourselves in a conversation with him about what Selvage Brewing could be as a standalone brew pub tap room. And so all of the beers that we will serve here that are Selvage beers will be brewed specifically for Selvage and only available here.
Nice.
But that's been a really great partnership as well. And they obviously have a really great thing going as sort of a production brewery and distribution and things like that. And so we're hoping to do some kind of fun, interesting, more quirky stuff here in the weeks and months ahead. So.
Love it. Hunter's crushing it. So is the plan come to this spot, get romanticized by it, see how beautiful it is, see all the incredible options, and then, hey, I can host an event here, a wedding here, envision what you can do here with your friends and family? I mean, give us the strategy.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many ways to approach the site just physically. We're along the Ravenna Trail, the bridge connecting the Ravenna Trail over Morse Creek just got put in today. So the trail, for once, is finally connected. But we want people to come here and see this as a community space. Like, we want, obviously, gathering right now is kind of in a different world, but there's plenty of things for a family to do. They can come here. You can get beer, you can get wine, you can get food. There's small plates. You can bring your kids. We want the community to fall in love with this place. We want to host a lot of events for many different types of people, not just weddings, not just corporate sizes and shapes of venues here. And so we want to be seen as kind of the place where people come connect with one another.
I love it. I think you're going to do that.
And practically speaking, we knew from day one, it is something that people don't know where it is. It's at the end of a dead-end street. It has to be somewhat destination-based. We knew that from day one. We felt like building in the events business made a lot of sense. But we also have all been to the vineyards and wineries when there's a wedding and you have to leave at 5:30 and pack up and go home. And we wanted to try to create something that could serve both purposes simultaneously. And so we should be able to keep some option for the public open, even if there is a 200 or 300 person event. Practically, we also one of our goals was to be one of the largest event venues within a mile or two of downtown.
Yeah.
Right now, there's only but so many places.
What is it? Is it you guys? Is it you guys, the Omni? I mean, there's very little.
There's a couple, yeah. I mean, a lot of them are sort of the country club hotel sort of options. Right. In terms of the type of aesthetic that we have here, we don't think there's really anything that fits in with the more sort of urban industrial aesthetic that we have here. And we wanted people to be able to use the space. And, people are obviously willing to drive, 20, 30, 40 minutes out to these other destinations, and we're a mile from downtown. And so with parking,
right.
And that was the other challenge that a lot of those downtown venues have, is they just don't have a ton of parking.
Tell me about
easily
it.
accessible. And so we've got over 300 parking spaces on the site. There's plenty of easily accessible parking from the Broadway side of the main entrance over there. And we just really wanted to be able to kind of have both of those options for people to see it either as a destination event space or as something that's open to the public.
I love it.
How excited people get about parking. Like we mentioned parking, people.
Yeah, I just did, dude. Yeah. Did you see mine? Parking is like a cuss word in this town. Can you, Judah, put the photos of the Wool Factory on screen? Okay, we're showing your phenomenal site as we're doing this interview here, dudes. I'm having freaking a lot of comments coming in here. A lot of the comments are, we did not know this was open, so we're telling them about that. That's primarily what the comments are. How about this one? This one's an intriguing one. Jerry, you talk a lot about green tape and red tape and dealing with local government. Can you ask your guests how the process went of getting open and dealing with Albemarle County? That's a good question right there.
Yeah, I mean, there's really two facets to that. One, we weren't directly involved in. I know that a lot of what happened before we even started that process was a lot of collaboration with the county on zoning and things like that, working with them on the bridge for the trail system. Brian's spoken very highly of that whole process. And so I think that actually all went really well. So there's really only two tenants here. It's the Wool Factory and Willow Tree. And so a big part of that was helping Willow Tree find a home in Albemarle County. And so there was a lot of really good incentive for everyone to make that happen. So I think that was a big part of it. Like I said, we kind of hung on for the ride to figure out how to be a part of it in the midst of all of that. And so more recently, it was, it's obviously challenging to try to get health department through and ABC through and all of the sort of typical restaurant licensures and approvals, but they were all pretty easy to work with kind of through that process. There's not a whole lot of new restaurants opening up right now. So once they were back up and running, they made it pretty easy for us. And we've done this before. Our team is really, really capable of making sure that we hit all of those boxes, and that actually went pretty smoothly for us.
There's one facet of the project, because it is a historical renovation. We had a few restrictions with what we could do to the space and what we could do to the exterior per federal guidelines, actually, and state, I believe. So it was a little tricky in that respect, but I mean, we honestly didn't want to change the building all that much, so it played, right into the plans we had designed for it. Anyway.
That's awesome. So people are asking about the restaurant here. I can add something to this. Tucker Yoder. I mean, good night, fellas. You guys got a freaking rock star in T. Yoder right there. Is he over there? Is Tucker over there?
Yes.
He's here.
He knows I love him. Can you tell me about the restaurant?
So we actually have two restaurants, really, because the brewery will have its own menu when we open up tomorrow. So Tucker has been
working his balls off.
Creating,
yeah.
So he created a whole brewery menu. He's got a great team of folks that he pulled in to help run the kitchen. The restaurant is on hold right now because the restaurant, it's called Broadcloth. It is meant to be a smaller dining room, more intimate, et cetera. And obviously that's not necessarily in high demand right now. And so we originally planned on opening everything all at once, and we just felt like it was wiser, from a business perspective, from a health and safety perspective, to kind of press pause on the smaller restaurant dining room and focus on getting the brewery up and running in the main space. And so we're hoping to get the restaurant up and running later this year. But for now, we're focused mostly on the brewery and the brewery menu. But Tucker is the executive chef over the whole property. He's got a great team that's helping him run sort of both sides of that. We have a kitchen that is well equipped to kind of do the 200 or 300 person events, the brewery menu and the restaurant service sort of all at the same time.
Nice.
When we do get the restaurant open, we have a really great chef's counter. We have a really great bar. We'll have indoor and outdoor seating. And that's something that we're really excited to get out to the public sooner rather than later.
Sure.
But at the same time, we felt like we shouldn't wait forever to let people come and experience the space, since we have something that we can offer now, kind of while we're waiting for the next couple months to shake out.
And I can personally attest to all of your viewers out there. We had a couple soft opening events, and the menu is absolutely
I heard.
Tucker does such a great job of elevating any food he's making, but also it's not fussy, it's not precious, it's not pretentious.
It's approachable.
It's approachable. He's got a double fried chicken sandwich on there.
Nice.
That's battered in tempura. It's unbelievable. The food is creative. It's fun. It's anyone can find something they like on the menu.
Did you guys consider changing or pivoting the model with the restaurant? Did you give that any thought, or were you like, let's go forward down this road and just wait?
We did. We actually, about 2 or 3 weeks ago, we completely changed our launch plan.
Yeah, I know the feeling, right?
Yeah. So we were originally thinking about opening as sort of a hybrid concept of all the things. And ultimately, we felt like it was going to do a disservice to each individual concept to try to force that into one thing. And so we considered it. We actually had plans to open that way, and then ultimately we felt like, and Tucker led that conversation, and let's open the brewery, show everybody exactly what the brewery menu will look like, instead of this sort of hodgepodge kind of confusing concept. And it's already a complicated thing for people to take in. If you haven't been here, the first time you walk in, you realize the scope and scale of the building. And so we knew that we were going to have to educate people on what is even available here to begin with. And so we felt like making it more clear that these are unique concepts, all available, even though not right now.
I love these guys.
Was going to be important.
Love these guys.
Yeah. Well, coming soon, we will have online ordering for pickup as well.
Nice.
Yeah, and we have the workshop, which is directly beneath us, which is why you heard some work going on earlier. We brought in an amazing executive pastry chef who will be creating some I've tried them too. They're unbelievable pastries that we'll sell here at the workshop. And her desserts on the salvage menu are out of this world.
I love it. How about this topic? And we close on this. You guys have crushed this here. Guys, I will put the link to the Wolf Factory in the package in the thread here for those that are asking for more information. I think we'll send them to the website. We'll send you to the website here.
Go to Resi
This is the last question I have for you here. We're cautious optimists. It's a platform of hope and positivity. I Love CVille. Anywhere you want to go on this topic? How about business guys coming together, launching a business to start at a very different time. The business then comes to fruition at a completely different lens. How about just the mindset? What you guys were going through, you're thinking, maybe a snapshot of the fear and vulnerability, and then the fact that you overcame that mindset to keep pushing forward. Because I remember when this started, fellas, I was like, I got a kid, I got a wife. What happens in this place pays the bills. I got a mortgage. I was scared. How about you guys? Anywhere you want to go on that?
Well, we've been working on this for 3 years, and to have it open right exactly now was, bittersweet. I will say when everything shut down, for me personally, and I won't speak for you, Brad, but for me personally, it was like the wind just got sucked out of my sails, and it was. There's so much uncertainty, and we had a lot of other stuff going on that I don't think I gave it the mental attention that I probably could have. But I will say, after that first, as we were leading up to this opening, we got some momentum, and the details are polished and everything. And after that first friends and family night, I probably teared up 6 or 7 times just seeing people in the space. It's just been so long, and so it's been a roller coaster for sure. But it's definitely a lesson, and you can't take anything for granted, and you can only plan so much,
Yeah, and I mean, we were intentionally quiet about this project for a long time because honestly, we were changing things every step of the way. I mean, it was going to be a coffee roastery originally, and it's very different than that now. And so I think, some of it was just our thing, and it wasn't that scary to talk about it because it wasn't out in the public. Now it is very much out in the public, and we want it to be. And so I think it's just about level setting expectations. And, we had this vision for what our grand opening and our launch might look like 3 months ago, and it's going to be different than that. But I feel like that in and of itself is part of running.
Sure, of course.
And you have to constantly readjust your expectations. I mean, projections are out the window. We have no historic information to base anything off of. We're taking it a week and a month at a time, and we're going to make the best of it as much as we possibly can. And ultimately, we got to the place where we were excited about how everything came together and felt like it was important for us to start sharing it with the public, even if it was in the midst of this time in a limited capacity, et cetera. We want people to come down here and know that this place exists.
Fantastic. Laura Monk, I'm coming this weekend to visit you guys. I did not know about you. We were
Awesome.
I need to emphasize, make a reservation, right? Make a reservation.
Yes,
do not show up. Make a reservation.
Go to Resi. We're being very safe, so we want to have a place for people to land when they get here. So go to Resi, make a reservation.
Yeah, the reservation only aspect of it is really just going to help
Sure.
us streamline our protocols from a health and safety standpoint. And we want to make sure that we're sort of metering out traffic through the space and have opportunities to properly clean and sanitize everything as we turn over tables. And so that'll just help us a ton, make sure that we can actually give everybody the experience that they want and also be safe and
I love
cautious.
it, dudes. You guys are going to crush it. Seriously, if Tucker's still listening, anytime he wants on this show, anytime you guys want to come on the show, let's do it. I think the space is beautiful. I respect your hustle, your chutzpah, your vision. You guys take chances. Community needs more people that creates jobs. That's what you guys are doing. Thank you for joining us. Charlottesville thanks you guys. Seriously.
Thank you.
We thank Charlottesville.
Yeah, we're
I
excited.
love it.
We
Thanks
can't
so
wait to
much.
see
I can't wait to see you guys. You guys have a good one. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jerry.
Our
Take
pleasure.
care.
Our pleasure. They were fantastic. Judah, I'm going to get Alex on the line here. I went a little long with them because the content was fresh and people were responding. Alex, I'm going to reach out to you now, and then we're going to have Bob Schotta from Wendell Wood's property at the fireworks pad where the fireworks are going to happen. So, Judah, I have Alex on the line now. Give me a thumbs up. This dude is phenomenal, people. One of the titans in Charlottesville. Alex, dude, every time I see you, Alex, and he's giving me the thumbs up, the beard is looking more flawless than ever. It's manicured extremely well. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing well, thanks. How about you?
I'm doing well. I'm doing extremely well. All right, open-ended. I'm going to adapt to you. And then before we talk shop, how about you personally? How are you and the family? How's everything going with you guys? We catch up with each other once every couple weeks. We always leave inspired. How's you and the family doing?
All doing well, hanging in there, trying to just keep hustling, keep growing, keep working on trying to figure out new ideas. And, in an age with so much uncertainty going on. I was listening to you talking with your previous guests, and just the concept of uncertainty kept popping in my head, and how as entrepreneurs we're always sort of prepared to navigate uncertainty. It's what we do all the time because there's never any certainty in the business world. But now we're just faced with an unprecedented level of it, and just working through it forces you to, I think, have to innovate and just not even so much think outside the box. I tend to think that phrase is overused a lot, but to think of new ways to do things that you're already doing. So keep the fundamentals there, keep the principles there, but how can I sort of deliver those fundamentals, those principles that are important to us as a company when I do my work with Emergent Financial Services, but also when I do my nonprofit work with Forward Adelante. Just how can we keep those principles the same and the goals the same while finding new ways to sort of connect with people and deliver those?
I love this guy. Forward Adelante. The show is yours, my friend. You are doing special things with this publication.
We have some fantastic news, and really it's all the generosity of Charlie and Leah Lewis. They're the Chuck Lewis, the family of Chuck Lewis, and this was going to be our 9th year of hosting the Chuck Lewis III Passion Award at FABA, which obviously in light of coronavirus was unable to happen. But Charlie and Leah, they happened to see that the Endurance Fund was created by the Minority Business Alliance, who I'm thrilled to serve as their treasurer there, and that we had taken at MBA some of the funds that we were going to use for our diversity luncheon and turned those into some grants for minority businesses. And Charlie and Leah were like, Alex, let's do this with FABA. Let's take what we normally do with the Chuck Lewis Passion Award, which really, so the Chuck Lewis Passion Award, for those who don't know, it's an award given in the honor of Chuck Lewis, who just was a man who did so much for the community and really just personified overcoming adversity to achieve success. I mean, he started a grocery business not once but twice and became incredibly successful. Then he transitioned to real estate, and it's still, Charlie and Leah are still chugging away at there and growing that and doing such a great job and have so many wonderful people coming in there. And so we've been giving that award in his honor for the last 9 years. And what better time in reality to celebrate adversity and overcoming it than in the midst of some of the biggest adversity that we've ever faced.
And humankind, human's lifetime. Yeah,
and
this is
especially
awesome.
in most of our lifetimes, and so what a time to do that. And so we're going to be giving out 2 grants under the name of the Chuck Lewis III Passion Fund, 2 small business owners. We wanted to make it really simple for Latinos, African Americans, anyone who's struggling, and we're starting with 2 because that's what we have, but we're always welcome to, we're going to try to get more funds and give out more. Just really say, all right, how can we help you to get through this, to overcome adversity, so that one day, maybe if it's next year, 2 years down the road, we'll be seeing you up on the stage for the Chuck Lewis Passion Award, or having overcome so much that's going on. And I know there's just so many small business owners, especially I know in my Latino community, in the minority business community, working so hard to get through this so that they can reach the point where they're growing again and passing on their business to their families. And so we wanted to be a part of that. So it's the application is super simple online, forwardadelante.org. We've turned our whole website into just that application. And it's going to run through July 15th at noon. So 2 whole weeks. We're not asking for anything difficult. No income tax returns, no, forms to fill out, things like that. Just fill out the application. Let us know what your business is. Let us know, what you could use the funds for. These are the 2 grants that will be $1,250 each. Let us know what you would use it for. Let us know the adversity that you're facing. And then we're going to run it through the FABA team, have an eligibility process, and then give out those two grants in honor of Chuck Lewis. And then hopefully next year see everybody back for our 10th anniversary and of celebrating, overcoming adversity.
That's beautiful. Business. That's beautiful. Can you cut that into a sizzle reel, Judah, please, so we can play it tomorrow, so we can get exposure for this endeavor tomorrow as well? What's the temperature? What's the mood in the Latino community here locally? Are we feeling we're coming out of it? Are we feeling? I relayed a ridiculous statistic that broke my heart about COVID impacting Latino community more than any other demographic out there. What's the temperature and mood like?
It's strange. I know I've heard mixed. I mean, I think in terms of the health impact of coronavirus, there's still some concern. Mm-hmm. I do talk with people in nonprofit work with Latinos on the front lines of direct assistance. And there's still a little nervousness, which is understandable. I mean, any community that all of a sudden you have an unknown virus going through there, you don't know how this is going to impact you differently than other communities. I think there's definitely concern there. I think in terms of, on the flip side though, I think in terms of the Latino businesses that I'm knowing, there's much more optimism that I'm beginning to feel and I'm beginning to sense, just in the sense of, all right, we're getting to the place where we can begin to open again. We can begin to, safely provide for our families again, safely open up our livelihoods. I mean, so many Latinos are basically, Latino business owners are in restaurants or in services that had to be shut down or severely curtailed when we were in lockdown phase. And so even though coronavirus is still with us and it hasn't been eradicated by any means, I think there's optimism when it's like, okay, even in the midst of this, I now have the opportunity to provide for my family again. and start growing my business again. And I'm just seeing them sort of through my feed, the Latino restaurants. I get so elated every time I see a new one saying, I'm open indoors now. I'm like, oh, just so many of us did not have, outdoor patios in that first phase.
Right.
And so to be able to slowly go through this process and say, okay, you know what, there's hope on the other end that, yes, we have to take our precautions health-wise to make sure we don't get sick and we don't pass it on to those who are vulnerable. But at least we know now that there's that hope and there's that light at the end of the tunnel in terms of, all right, when we come out of this health-wise, we'll still be okay financially. We'll be able to grow and be a thriving community then. Because that's one thing I really don't want to lose. Is, we did a study at Forward Adelante, I think about 3-4 years back for the magazine, and we discovered that basically Latinos start small businesses at about 3 times the rate of native-born Americans.
Get out.
Which is insane.
Yeah, but it makes sense, though. It makes sense because of systematic forces that are, frankly, racist. The opportunities aren't there to go down the traditional job path, so they're having to launch businesses themselves. And
I think it's partly that. I think also I would argue it speaks a little also more to just the Latino experience of immigrating. I know my grandfather, he basically lost everything. This is my father's father. He was born in Catalonia in Spain right before the Spanish Civil War. So he lost everything in the Spanish Civil War, moved to Venezuela, lost everything again, moved to Cuba, lost everything again, and when the communists took over, came to the United States. So just there's sort of a mentality, I think, for many Latinos when we emigrate to new places of you gotta just start things yourself. You gotta go for it. I've lost everything. Let me start all over again. I've lost everything. Let me start all over again. And I think that's very conducive to starting your own business. I think it's a mentality. Okay, I've come to a new country. I can work for somebody else, and part of what we fight against at Forward Adelante, to your point, is we fight against stereotypes of what Latinos can and should be doing. So a lot of Latinos are like, well, yeah, I could come here and I could do what everyone expects me to do: work in the fields, work as a laborer, work as this, which is good. But that's what my grandfather did at first. He started off he was a pattern maker tailor. He ended up doing pattern making for the Met up in New York City. And so there's nothing wrong. We appreciate and we honor that kind of physical labor because it's so important, right? But a lot of Latinos are like, okay, we sort of have that mentality, I think, of, yes, I could do what everyone else expects me to do, or I could do what I want to do and start my own business and actually pass this thing down to my children and my children's children and grow our wealth from there. And I think that mentality of starting over and being willing and able to do that, have that perseverance, really resonates in the Latino community and lends itself to starting businesses at just a higher rate than anybody else.
Alex, you are so legit. I love this. Alex is so quality. Can we turn that into a sizzle reel for tomorrow too? The dude comes on the show and the whole interview is a sizzle reel. We need to do, Alex, I would love, because I got to get to Bob Schotta from the fireworks pad, I would love to do this with you more often. And if you even want to highlight in the interview or bring someone from the community on alongside you, we could even highlight their business because there's too much good happening here for it not to have attention.
Absolutely. I'd love that.
Anytime. I'm serious. Let's do that.
Will do. No, I'm going to start collecting people, and definitely when we have some of our recipients, we'll start connecting them with you, and maybe we can get them on and highlight their businesses. Because I definitely want to make sure that when we come out of this, that we're still in the same place. That Latinos haven't been discouraged from starting businesses, but rather it's like, okay, we got hit again, we got knocked down again. Let's just get right back up and continue starting businesses at that great rate, and really inspiring. I know I meet so many people through Forward Adelante that even aren't Latino and get inspired by what the Latinos and the immigrants and the African Americans that we highlight on Chuck Lewis Passion Award have done. And they're like, oh my goodness, everything was stacked against them, and they still managed to do this, and they still managed to be successful and give back and feel wonderful about giving back. And so I think seeing that can help inspire people who are Latino, but also people who are not, and say, wow, if they can do that, just imagine what I can do.
Dude, you are awesome. I'll reach out to you. You reach out to me. We'll make it happen. Thank you for coming on.
Will do. Thank you for having me on. Don't forget, forwardadelante.org.
Forwardadelante.org.
And it'll be on all over our Forward Adelante Facebook, all our accounts.
Okay, Judah, let's get the link in the package as well for them so we can get it out there. Alex, I'll be in touch. Have a good one.
Thank you. You too. Thank you.
Judah, I'm going to reach out now quickly to Bob to see if we can get him from Wendell Woods property in the launch pad. It's actually ringing on Skype. We're moving quickly here on the I Love CVille show. Phenomenal people. So I have Bob on the line. Bob, we'll get that camera. I think the camera is... Yeah, Bob's here. Judah, do I have the green light to get Bob Schotta on the show? Bob Schotta, I cannot wait to see you. We're making a push. All right, you're live. Bob Schotta, you're in your vehicle. I'm
in the vehicle.
I see the Richmond lacrosse sticker in the bag. Was it both your boys played lacrosse at U of R? Is that right?
No, just my older son, Rob.
Okay, oldest son. He's a diehard lacrosse fan, diehard sports fan, and he's a community steward. He's helped leading the charge for fireworks. I'm out of the way. Show is yours, Bob. Where are we at?
Well, I haven't even had a chance to look at the site because there's a lot of activity. There's a lot of people calling, want to help out. So I feel very, very comfortable with saying that the show will go on.
Yes. You feel comfortable?
I feel very comfortable that, the city, the people in the city have come through. We got donations anywhere on the site from $5 to $600. I got, politicians and government officials donating their own money. I've been going door to door to businesses with my mask on, just making sure everyone knew about it. And I'm really excited. The team has been working hard. We call them a committee, but it's more of a team because we talk about every 2 hours. We have video calls every 3 hours, and it's an exciting time. We're just a couple days away, and we're not quite there, but I really feel like we're going to get there. And I think most importantly that the food bank is going to get some really solid donations from all these efforts.
I love it. This question came up this morning on Real Talk. So Ray Cadell asked us to plug the fireworks on this morning's show. We did to drive some donations. But the question came up, how far away do you think we can see the fireworks?
That's a great question, and that's a big weather issue. The mountain is 1,700 feet high, and the fireworks are going to go from anywhere from 300 to 800 feet higher. So theoretically, you could see it from Zion's Crossroads to Wintergreen to Crozet and Scottsville. But weather, it really depends on the weather and how clear it is. Last year when we fired at McIntyre Park, you could see it from Pantops Mountain, but even I was on site and there was a very heavy cloud overhang and a lot of rain and humidity. So the fireworks did not go very high that particular night, which is why even from the high launch point, I wanted bigger canisters to make sure they got up there and they could be seen from the entire region. Because as far as I know, there's not a lot of fireworks going on the 4th. So I'm not sure about Scottsville.
No, they canceled. They canceled.
Did they cancel?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, tell them they should be able to see our show.
Dude, I honestly think, because there was a story about this in the Daily Progress today. Brian McKenzie did it. I think this might be the only fireworks show in the entire community.
On the 4th? Yeah, I know Boar's Head's doing it on the 3rd.
On the 3rd, right.
Right. And Zambelli's doing their show as well, but because of our area, we're allowed to use the largest shells they have to offer, which we couldn't do at McIntyre and they can't do at Boar's Head. So I'm excited about that. And it'll be loud, it'll be bright, and I'm pumped. I'm just so excited the community came together for this, and we're all in it together, and it's going to happen.
How about this? I love you, Bob. How about this? This makes me so happy because this shows Charlottesville rallying together for a common goal. Doesn't that make you happy? I'm getting out of the way on that.
Absolutely. I mean, we're not a perfect nation. It's not a perfect time, but when in our history has everything been perfect? So this is just about, like our title is, celebrate us, celebrate you, celebrate whatever you want to celebrate. Just take 30 minutes and watch the show and just remember, let's do better. Let's listen better and do better. And the Charlottesville community has come together. There's no negativity towards this. It's an all for one, and the city's coming through, and the county folks are coming through, and businesses are getting involved, and it's just a very exciting time. I'm very happy the team brought this together, and we're not quite there yet, but I have all the faith in the world it's going to happen.
Guys, Judah, put the GoFundMe link back on screen. Here's what we need to do now. There's going to be a link that's on screen, or you can just Google Charlottesville Fireworks GoFundMe, and the GoFundMe account will come up. Give $5, $10, $25, anything. Okay, we're making a push to raise the money, and the excess goes to the Blue Ridge Area Food Bank. Are you at?
You guys have been huge. I mean, NBC has jumped in, and they're going to broadcast it on their website and CW.
Yeah.
And so I failed on getting a drone to cover it from above, but if that's the worst thing that we accomplished, no drone, then that's okay.
Bob, you've done enough. You've done way more than enough. Are you at Wendell's property now?
No, I'm below Wendell's property at an undisclosed location for a broadcast.
Okay.
So we're gonna have cameras in a lot of different areas and different angles, and so we're just we're reviewing one of them. But I'm looking up at the hill, up at his mountain, and I just can't wait, man. I just can't.
Can
wait.
you put in? I don't think anyone understands the magnitude of what Wendell has up there. I mean, the dude has got a house on a mountain, right?
Yeah, it's. It is. He has the mountain. He's got all the land below it, and thank God for Wendell. I mean, none of this happens if he doesn't step up, because we probably would have found a landowner somewhere at a lower level, but I'm not sure. My goal was to make sure that the city residents and the folks down there could see the show. That was ultimately, and a lot of great people have donated, offered their land. The King Family Vineyards offered it. The Foxfield offered their land, but this has really always been a city event, and so I really wanted the city people, even though you might have to, go to a parking lot and stretch your head up a little bit from some places. I think it's going to be a great show, and I'm very excited that everybody has come together to make this happen.
I love it, Bob. I love it. I love it. Thank you. Anything else? Is it 9:15 to 9:45?
It's 9:15, 9:45. We're going to shoot off some test flares at 8:45 and 9 o'clock.
Okay.
So you can properly align your recliner and your chairs to make sure you have the perfect angle. But if you know Carter's Mountain and you look at the antennas, the launch point is just to the right.
Awesome.
Or if you're in Scottsville, it's just to the left.
When the fireworks are happening and it's about to, what do you think is going to be going through your mind, Bob? Proud to be an American, baby.
Proud of the city. I'm welling up now, but I'm really looking forward to it.
Why are you welling up, Bob?
Because it means a lot. I mean, it means a lot for this to come together, and we did this in 2 weeks. I mean, this team came together in 2 weeks and 30 calls, and it's a beautiful thing, and I'm very proud.
I'm proud to call you a friend. Charlottesville's lucky to have you here. And I'm getting choked up too. Bob, you are an amazing person, dude. I'm so grateful. Thank you.
Thank you, Jared. Thanks for all your help.
Yeah, you have a good one.
You too.
Gosh, I'm getting choked up as well now. It's just because there's so much going on, There's so much going on out there for everybody. If we have 30 minutes where we can put our hands on our heart and look at the sky and not think about anything else and see some pretty stuff out there, that's A-okay by me. That's A-okay by me. In 2 weeks, this comes together through a GoFundMe and people working hard and giving some money when they don't have the money. I mean, this is Charlottesville. This is Charlottesville. I love it. Oh, man, what a good show today. Guys, thank you for joining us. Get the GoFundMe link on screen again if you could. Donate to this GoFundMe. We're so close. We're so close. I'm going to it now just to look. And it's not keeping an accurate tally. We just got this is beautiful. This is beautiful. In the last, Keith and Cheryl Gerhardt, $50. Michael Demensky, $50. Rick and Bonnie Oliver, $100. That's all in the last hour. Brian and Jane Thomas, $50. Anonymous, $50. Virginia Farm Bureau, $200. Sally and Donald Clark, $50. The small donations that come in that are $25, $50 shows you how important this is to people. I love you guys. It's the I Love CVille Show. We're going to be back here on Wednesday at 12:30 with a show that comes from the heart, that's honest, that's local, and it comes from a perspective of a cautious optimist. I hope you guys have a great afternoon.